Dear Aquarius, if one morning you woke up and realized that God, or the universe, had chosen you for something that has never happened to any soul on Earth, would you step forward or step back? Aquarius, this is not an ordinary prediction, and it's not the kind of repetitive luck that visits the 12 zodiac signs. A sacred doorway is opening, and only you hold the key. What is about to unfold will not resemble anything anyone else has lived through. Not Sagittarius, not Pisces, not Scorpio. In today's message, I'll reveal why Uranus, Jupiter, and the 11th house are awakening your destiny as a pioneer, and why this feels less like astrology and more like a calling from heaven. If you know in your heart that you're not here by accident, leave your mark with this declaration. I am ready to walk a path no one has ever touched before. A comment isn't just affirmation. It's how you activate the very energy that's guiding you. And if something inside you stirred, even for a moment, share this message so it can reach the right soul at the right time. There are moments in life when we stop being someone who merely exists and become someone who is being awakened. For Aquarius, that moment is drawing near. When Uranus, the planet of disruption, revolution, and spiritual awakening, begins to shake the skies, it doesn't just alter the world around you. It rewires the deepest structures within you, parts of your awareness you never had words for. Nothing happens by accident. Every shift in the heavens reflects a stirring in the soul. Aquarius does not belong to the present, you belong to the future. While others are still asking, who am I? You've been asking, what was I born to do for this world? That's why your energy feels strange, elusive, untamed. Why people are drawn to you and uncertain of you at the same time. In astrology, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, the only planet that spins on its side, untamed by the rules that bind the rest of the solar system. It is the symbol of a soul that refuses to follow the path it was handed, one that dares to flip the system upside down, one that sees what has never been seen. This year, Uranus forms powerful aspects with Jupiter and Pluto, opening a cycle that has no precedent. This is the period when Aquarius will be pushed, or perhaps guided, into living your truest nature. The things you avoided are now knocking at your door. The limits you once set are dissolving, and the dreams you once called too far are beginning to take shape. When your soul grows tired of pretending to be ordinary, the universe will push you out of your comfort zone. You may feel lost, but that's only because Uranus is reordering your destiny. Chaos isn't the collapse, it's the prelude to a new design. The 11th house in astrology holds the energy of the collective, of vision, of humanity's evolution. When Aquarius energy is activated, you can no longer live only for yourself. You are called to become the water bearer, the carrier of wisdom, light, and spiritual awakening. If you've ever felt like you don't quite belong here, that's not a flaw. That's a sign you carry a bigger task. Not everyone will understand you, but they will need you. Because when Aquarius stands in their true position, they become the flame in the dark. And sometimes, to bring light, you have to burn. Those who go first are often misunderstood, long before they are honored. I used to think that being different was a burden, but after years of reading charts and hearing the stories of thousands of souls, I realized being different is the language the soul uses to speak to God. No one is like you, because your mission cannot be duplicated. Aquarius is born to change the direction of humanity, but that change always begins with changing yourself. So if you're walking through loneliness, through inner chaos, through that quiet ache of no one really understands me, do not fear. This is not punishment, it is selection. God only chooses the souls strong enough to stand alone in the light. Sometimes God is silent, not because he has left you, but because he is watching to see if you will still walk when you cannot see him. If you look back, you may notice you've often been misunderstood, misread, labeled as different. But from the viewpoint of the stars, that is simply a marker of those who lead. Souls like yours aren't sent here to live quietly. You are sent to awaken something new. Aquarius embodies freedom, creativity, intelligence, and spiritual revolution. But all freedom requires a price. You must give up being accepted by others in order to accept yourself. When you become brave enough to stop needing to be understood, you finally begin to understand who you are. And that is the moment Uranus completes the shift, when you stop being a human controlled by the world and start becoming a soul guiding it. Ask yourself, how many times have you tried to fit in, only to feel yourself disappearing. How many times have you silenced your intuition just to seem normal? And how many nights, in your deepest exhaustion, did you still hear that small voice whisper, "Don't give up. This is not the end"? If you can hear this, then this message is for you. Aquarius, you are walking through the gateway of the soul, a place every chosen soul must pass through alone before leading others toward the light. Don't be afraid, because when you walk through darkness, the light will recognize you first. This world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs real ones. And Aquarius, you are living proof of that. You don't need to chase standards, because you are the new standard. You teach others how to love their differences by simply being true to yours. Every choice you make in this season doesn't just shape your own destiny. It becomes part of humanity's awakening itself. One soul brave enough to live its truth can change the entire world. If these words are touching something deep inside you, write it down below as a vow to your own spirit. I am ready to live as my true self. A single affirmation can unlock an entire destiny, because every word carries power. And if someone you know is wandering, losing faith, share this message with them. Maybe you are the water bearer that God has sent to awaken a soul that's gone dry. Aquarius, this is only the beginning of your rebirth. The sky is still moving. And in the next chapter, we'll talk about the sacred trial, the one every chosen soul must face before reaching the heaven of consciousness. Do you have the courage to hear it? If you do, stay, because what comes next may forever change the way you see yourself. Sometimes the greatest things don't arrive with thunder. They come quietly in the stillness of an ordinary morning. You open your eyes, see the light slip through the curtains, and somehow you know something has changed. No warnings, no signs, but your soul feels it. A door is opening and you can't turn back. For Aquarius, that moment is almost here. A turning point, not to punish you, but to call your name. God doesn't choose the perfect, He chooses the prepared. If your heart feels restless, if the familiar suddenly feels foreign, if you stand in a crowd yet still feel alone, then maybe this is the moment the universe is calling you home, to where you truly belong. Every soul vibrates on its own frequency, and when the world begins to shift, souls of the same frequency are awakened. Not everyone hears it. Only those brave enough to face themselves recognize the sound. Aquarius, you were born to break limits. That's why what's coming will not resemble anything you've known. It won't repeat your past, and it won't mirror anyone else's fate. This journey has only one direction, the path of the pioneering soul. Some events don't come to destroy you, but to remind you that you were never as fragile as you thought. There are times you pray for a sign and see nothing. Then suddenly everything collapses at once. Work, relationships, belief itself, as if the sky fell in. You sigh, why me? But the truth is, you weren't chosen to suffer, you were chosen to awaken. Uranus, your ruling planet, never works gently. It breaks illusions to rebuild truth. It takes away what no longer fits, even if you're not ready to let it go. So if your life feels like a series of rapid changes, don't panic, you're not cursed, you're being chosen. Every time life pushes you to the edge, that's when your soul power rises. And Aquarius, more than anyone, you know every revolution begins with chaos. You may be losing faith, losing direction, feeling left behind, but remember, God doesn't test the weak. He didn't pick you because you were perfect. He picked you because you can turn pain into light. Only after you've watched everything fall apart can you learn how to rebuild with true faith. Every strong soul has had a moment when they wanted to give up. But if you stop right before the threshold, you'll never know if what waits beyond is darkness or dawn. Sometimes the universe doesn't say, "Trust me." It just stays silent and watches to see if you still will. Trials don't arrive to teach you endurance. They arrive so you'll realize you've already endured. Aquarius, your soul was born to rewrite the meaning of freedom. And to do that, you must first understand what it feels like to be bound. If it seems like every plan you made is unraveling, don't despair. Sometimes what looks like loss is just God redirecting your route, so you'll reach your destination faster. Pay attention. When you release one thing, something else draws near. The nonsense of the universe is often the first step of a miracle. What you think is an ending is often just a beginning. You're not yet wise enough to recognize you may be falling right now, but not to break your wings, only to learn how to fly with the wings of faith. Uranus is rewriting your story, where everything that once seemed random is finally aligning with divine order. And if you dare to believe, you'll see every detour, every goodbye, every tear was preparing you for the moment you would rise in the light. Aquarius often lives by logic, but your soul is guided by emotion. You're used to analyzing, understanding, explaining, but soon you'll be asked to feel. Because this shift isn't coming for you to explain it, it's coming for you to experience it. And sometimes, feeling is the only way to learn. Not everything that is real can be proven by logic. Some things can only be proven by faith. So let yourself believe again. Believe that everything, even the pain, serves a higher purpose. You don't need to understand it now. Just keep walking. God will reveal the rest when you're ready. Souls like yours often walk alone, but you are never truly lonely. There are thousands of others walking too, in different places, under different skies, hearing the very same call. So if you're hearing these words right now, this is not coincidence. You are being reminded. Reminded that in the moment you want to give up, an unseen hand is already lifting you. Reminded that every door that closes makes room for a greater one to open. Reminded that you, yes, you, are living proof that faith itself is a miracle. No one is born knowing how to endure, but anyone can learn how to shine through pain. The difference between those who fall and those who rise again isn't luck, it's faith. Aquarius, you've been called to be a keeper of light, not because you're stronger, but because you know what weakness feels like. Not because you're perfect, but because you know how to love imperfection in yourself and in others. Light doesn't exist to chase away darkness. It exists to remind us that darkness never truly wins. The change that's coming isn't an ending. It's the ceremony of your soul's rebirth. When everything around you falls apart, you'll see that the only things left standing are faith and love. And those are the only things you'll ever need to carry into the next chapter. If these words are touching your heart, don't hold them in. Write in the comments below, as a promise to your own soul, I am ready to walk the path God has chosen for me. Or simply say, I believe every challenge carries a gift. A single sentence, a single vibration, can be the first step toward a miracle. And if you know someone lost in the dark, share this message with them. You may never realize it, but a few lines like these might be enough to save a weary soul. Aquarius, this is only the first door. Once a soul awakens, it must learn to stand in the light, and that is the next test. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the moment the soul makes its covenant with destiny. There you'll understand why only you were chosen, and why every loss behind you was simply an invitation to step into your most sacred position in this life. Stay with me, because sometimes a single sentence at the right time can change the entire path of a soul. There are lessons no classroom can teach, lessons born from the moments when you thought everything was lost. And through those moments, Aquarius, you are learning what not everyone dares to learn, the lesson of spiritual freedom. You were born under Uranus, the planet of revolution, liberation, and boundless wisdom. But true freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's daring to live as your soul commands, even when the world doesn't understand. You can change jobs, leave relationships, rewrite your life entirely. But if your heart is still trapped by the fear of being judged, that's not freedom yet. True freedom is standing among 1,000 voices and still hearing your own. Freedom doesn't come when you have everything. It comes when you're no longer afraid to lose anything. Sometimes God doesn't give you an easy road. He gives you a spirit strong enough to create your own road, even if no road has ever existed before. That's the gift only Aquarius souls understand, the gift of those brave enough to be different. What defines Aquarius isn't eccentricity. It's the heart that can feel the pain of humanity itself. You carry a constant question inside you. How can I make this world better? And yes, sometimes that question makes you tired. Believe this, you were not born to fit in, you were born to lead. Every idea you spark, every action you dare to take, every truth you speak while others stay silent, becomes a small ripple moving through the universe. Those who walk ahead of their time are often lonely, but they are also the ones who write the future. Aquarius, you belong to the collective consciousness. Your soul is like an antenna tuned to humanity itself, picking up signals, emotions, possibilities that reach far beyond the limits of ordinary sight. Sometimes that makes you feel out of sync, as if you're living in another frequency. But the truth is you're simply living ahead of time, on a wavelength the world will one day learn to follow. No one understands loneliness quite like you do. You can laugh, connect, and shine among people, yet still hold inside a private space that no one can truly touch. That space is not emptiness. It's the distance between your frequency and the frequency of the world. The loneliness you feel isn't a void, it's the gap between you and the rest of humanity. Don't rush to fill that space. Let it become a sanctuary for your wisdom, for your compassion, for your light. God allows that solitude so you can learn to hear your own voice amid the noise of humankind. When you sit alone in silence, listen closely. Somewhere deep inside, a part of you is whispering, "I am not alone, I'm just standing where others haven't yet arrived." The world has grown too comfortable with sameness. That's why people sometimes fear what they don't understand. They might call you strange, distant, hard to read. But Aquarius, never let those words make you doubt your worth. You're not lost, you're leading. And sometimes those who lead must walk alone through the dark, so others can see by their torch. Not being understood doesn't mean you're wrong. It might just mean they haven't reached where you stand. When you live in alignment with who you are, you create space for others to do the same. Your freedom becomes an invitation, a quiet permission for other souls to find themselves. In a world that keeps spinning and breaking, the hardest thing isn't to love, it's to keep faith. You often love with reason, Aquarius. But now you're learning to love through understanding. It's no longer the kind of love that clings. It's love that sees the soul inside another. Trust that every person you meet, whether they wound you or heal you, was sent with a purpose. No one is wrong in your journey. They just play the roles needed for you to remember who you truly are. When you forgive, you're not saying they deserve it. You're saying you deserve peace. Kindness is never weakness. It's the highest form of strength. And sometimes the kindness of one person can alter the entire orbit of another soul. I used to think the meaning of life was about achieving something great. But after years of reading the stars and listening to the whispers of the soul, I learned this truth. The meaning of life isn't found in achievement, it's found in how you love when no one is watching. We weren't born to be perfect. We were born to be real. Aquarius, you don't need to be the brightest light in the room. You only need to be the small, steady flame that keeps its warmth when the wind begins to howl. Some souls are not sent here to conquer, but to remind humanity how to love again. Be kind even when the world isn't fair. Keep believing even when faith hurts, because every time you choose love over judgment, patience over anger, understanding over avoidance, you are doing something holier than any sermon ever preached. You may not see them, but there are thousands of Aquarians hearing this same call tonight, souls fighting quietly, learning to trust, learning to rise. You are not alone. You are part of a vast network of light, spreading gently across the world. Speech balloon if you carry a story in your heart that only God could understand. Leave a sign below, you don't have to tell it all. Just write one simple line, "I'm still here." That isn't just a message to me, it's a signal to the universe that you're ready to keep walking, no longer running from yourself. Aquarius, you don't need to become anyone else. You only need to come home, to who you've always been, the being the universe created to bring light into the world. When you live your truth, you don't just heal yourself, you help others remember who they are. The purpose of light isn't to be seen, it's to help others see their way. Believe this. Every morning you wake up, no matter how heavy the day, is another chance to love once more. And that is the truest meaning of life. If these words touch something inside you, leave a sign so the universe knows you're ready. Right. I choose to live in truth and I trust my soul's path. Because every time you dare to speak your belief, your energy expands and the light will find where you stand. And in the next part, we'll go deeper into connection energy, how Aquarius spreads awakening to the people around them. Because true light is never meant to shine for itself alone. Maybe you've been silent for a long time, not because you don't want to speak, but because you don't know who to speak to. There are things that, even if you said them out loud, people still wouldn't understand. And then one day, in the middle of all the noise of the world, you hear words like these and your heart trembles. Not because of the voice, not because of the language, but because your soul recognizes it's being called by name. If you're here, if these words found their way to you, believe me, this is not an accident. No soul is ever truly lost. There are only souls being led. God's timing is always perfect, and maybe today he's speaking through you or for you. God never arrives early and he's never late. He comes at the exact moment your spirit needs to be touched the most. You may not see him, but he still sees you, in the tiredness in your eyes, in the tear you hold back, in the breath you take just to keep from breaking. You don't have to prove anything. Just believe that you are worthy of love, of peace, of healing. Maybe you've prayed, maybe you've written down small wishes in the night, and maybe you thought no one heard them. But the universe receives every whisper, even the ones you never spoke aloud. Every sigh you swallowed. Every time you chose forgiveness despite the pain. Every tear you shed while still wishing peace for someone else. That is the moment your energy reaches the deepest layer of light. The universe does not measure faith by words, but by what you continue to do in silence. There is no prayer unheard, only answers not yet revealed. Look back at everything you've survived, the sleepless nights, the moments you almost collapsed. And yet you're still here. That is not coincidence. It is proof of the strength God placed within you. You were chosen not to suffer, but to carry light. Because light is not born by itself, it is passed on by those who have known the dark. If your heart feels tired, rest for a moment, but don't let go of faith, because right at the moment you think you've lost your way, God is placing a hand on your shoulder and whispering, I am still here. You don't need to do anything grand. Just leave a small sign, a touch of energy that says, I heard, I'm still here. If you feel this is true for you, leave a heart red or write, I am ready to connect with my light. A single symbol, but it carries a frequency. When you write it, that energy is sent out, and the universe responds. Because every small action made with love creates its own vibration. And if you share this video, know that you are becoming a channel of goodness. Somewhere out there, someone may be sitting in the dark, and because of you, they will know they are not alone. Share this if you believe that the energy of God or the universe always chooses the right soul to awaken. You know, sunlight doesn't choose where to shine. It touches the golden fields and the broken houses, the smiling faces and the tearful eyes. It simply shines because that is its nature. Aquarius, you are the same. You don't need to search for someone who is worthy of your energy. You simply give because giving is how energy flows. Spreading light is not always about speaking. Sometimes it's just offering a smile when you're hurting too. It's sending a blessing to someone you no longer talk to. It's choosing silence instead of reacting. Light is not spread by words but by presence. And every time you choose love over judgment, you make the world a little softer. Imagine this, every heart is a small candle. When you light your own, you don't just see your path. You have the power to ignite another flame. That is how energy moves. Light travels from one heart to the next. And when enough hearts are shining, darkness no longer holds power. You might think, what difference can I make alone? But the universe doesn't ask you to change the whole world. It only asks you to change the world within you. When one soul is healed, the whole world heals with it. Each time you choose calm over chaos, compassion over anger, love over fear, the frequency of all humanity rises, and somehow the world feels a little lighter. No one was born to be strong all the time. No one was asked to be positive every day. There are days when breathing and simply existing is enough. The universe doesn't expect you to be perfect. It only asks that you be honest with yourself. Cry if you need to, rest if you must, but never forget after every fall you still have the right to rise. The universe doesn't punish you, it redirects you. And maybe today this is how the universe speaks to you, to remind you you're not broken, not weak, not wrong. You're simply being shaped for a greater mission. If there's still a part of you that believes in goodness, even after this world has hurt you, if compassion still lives in you, even after betrayal, and if you can still smile even when your heart isn't yet at peace, then congratulations, you are the light the world needs. Aquarius, you may not be the brightest flame, but you are the steadiest one. You burn quietly, you warm others, you keep spreading. Allow yourself to reconnect with others, with God, with the universe, and with your own soul, because every spiritual journey is not about searching outward. It's about returning home. Before you go, leave an energetic imprint, a small ritual to activate your link with the light. Write in the comments, I allow light to move through me, or I am ready to be a vessel of love and faith. Do it not for others, but for yourself. When you type those words, you're sending a signal to the universe saying, I am ready to receive, I am ready to radiate. One small act, one great shift in frequency. There is still so much beauty ahead. Chosen souls always walk through the longest night, but their dawn is brighter than anyone's. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the journey of light when Aquarius turns trials into miracles. There you'll see why every loss carries a gift and how to turn pain into strength that heals others. Before you leave, remember this. You don't have to understand everything, just trust that you are being guided. And if your heart just felt a small warmth, leave your mark below. That's how you tell the universe, I've heard you. If you've stayed until the very end of this journey, that's not just patience, that's your soul truly listening. Amid all the noise, the worry, the constant rush of life, you chose to pause to connect, not with me, but with your deeper self. And for that, I thank you sincerely, completely. Thank you for not leaving halfway. Thank you for opening your heart. Thank you for letting your soul tremble even once. Thank you for still believing, even when faith was the only thing left. Not everyone has the courage to face themselves. Not everyone is deep enough to sense the unseen layers of energy, but you did, and that makes you different. You're not here by chance. You're here because the universe chose this moment for you to hear this. Maybe you don't see the light clearly yet, but trust, your soul has already crossed the threshold. If there's one thing I want to leave you with, it's this. You are not as small as you think. You are the bridge between where you stand and where the universe wants you to be. If you just listen and walk away as if nothing happened, the energy stops here. But if you leave a sign, the current continues, and another door will open. Write a comment as a declaration to your own soul. I am ready to step into my destiny. Or, I accept the light that's calling my name. Or simply, I'm here and I've heard. Even a single word, a symbol, a small heart is a ritual of activation. You're not writing for me. You're writing so the universe knows you are ready. Somewhere out there among thousands living quietly, there's another soul like yours, tired, searching, waiting for a small sign not to give up. If this message feels true to you, don't keep it. Share as a way to send light to someone who needs it. Not because this message needs to spread, but because someone needs to be reached. And you might be the one to guide them. Before you turn off your screen, pause, take a deep breath in and exhale. Close your eyes and whisper to yourself, I am not walking alone, I am being led. You don't have to know what's next. Just know this, you are no longer the same person who first pressed play. Something in you has changed. If you want to keep walking this path with me, a journey of awakening, healing, astrology, and purpose, don't leave quietly. Click subscribe so you'll never miss the message meant for you. Leave a heart or a comment so your energy joins this community of awakening souls. Share if you believe that love and light were made to be passed on. God never chooses the wrong person. If you've heard this far, your soul is already ready for what comes next. Whether you believe it yet or not, I'll see you in the next part of our journey. And thank you for existing so beautifully, even in a world that hasn't always been kind. You didn't just listen to a video today, you just activated a piece of your destiny.